So the conclusion of my previous video was the start of my trip out to the Dry Tortugas. However, there is a strong cold front approaching from the north, and so I plan to weather that front in Boca Grande Key. If you anchor in amongst the flats, you get good protection from wave action, and it is good holding in sand. However, you do not get any shelter from the wind. But it's still a good place to weather a blow nonetheless. Another factor that has to be taken into consideration in this anchorage is the swift tidal current that runs through it. It gets up to about 2 knots or so mid-flood, which can make anchoring, it adds another complicating factor to anchoring. A tidal current can make sailing on and off an anchor especially tricky, simply because frequently it'll mean that the boat will never come up head to wind while she's at anchor. So it makes raising and lowering sails, especially the mainsail, somewhat more difficult. So I've dug out the big 50-pound Luke anchor, which I'll set out as a second anchor for some insurance, as the weather models are still showing this cold front as quite a strong front. Unfortunately, I haven't used this anchor in so long that the corrosion is making it difficult to put the pieces together. So I'm having to use some persuasive tactics with it, mainly in the form of a hammer and some liquid wrench. One of the reasons I use a fisherman type anchor as a second anchor is because you can secure it on an all nylon rode. You don't need any chain, which makes running it out in a dinghy much easier. Now, in preparing the nylon rode, you want to flake it, which is to lay it down in a figure-8 pattern. As you see, I have it now. If you don't do this, it will tend to knot and kink up, and it will not pay out smoothly, and you'll probably end up with just a giant rat's nest on deck. And you can see how the rode is just paying out nice and cleanly right off the foredeck. And so you row the anchor out to about where you want it. And then give it the heave-ho. And kind of give it a few hard tugs there. Yeah, it feels like it's in. By early afternoon, all the other cruising boats had cleared out. And by late afternoon, the little sport fish boats were on their way home, a few of whom stopped by to ask me if I was aware of the imminent weather situation. And then they left, and so there I was, by my lonesome, to deal with the consequences of my decision. Well, anchors seem to be set and holding, so there's nothing left to do now but just wait it out. Fair weather will return at some point.
Pretty comfortable. Alright everybody, it is
the 31st of January, 2022. And I'm sitting on Boca Grande Key. And you can see I have the boat anchored. Just right off. And there's the little tender, Baby Ruth, to get me back and forth. I was on my way out to the Dry Tortugas, and I still am. However, I've just come through this this very strong cold front, and everything was okay on that. Anchors didn't drag, so that's good. It's not a good place to get shipwrecked. And however, following this front is a large high pressure that's going to settle in the North Atlantic. What that means is over the next several days we're going to get very strong, well, fairly moderate to strong easterly winds, so around 20 to 25 knots. And that's going to persist through Thursday. So I don't care to go out to the Dry Tortugas in those conditions. I think I'm going to wait. And it's going to start settling down on Friday. But I think the plan is on Friday to go back to Key West to do a restock on provisions and water. Because it would be nice to, it's always nice to have fresh food. I can live off of dried stuff in cans, but it's not going to make my time in the Dry Tortugas quite as pleasant as if I have fresh food with me. And there's absolutely nothing out there. There's just there's a park, and supposedly there's a lot of good snorkeling, and it's just a beautiful spot. No internet, no cell, and I would also like to go out there when the weather is fairly settled, just because, especially for snorkeling and so forth, it's blowing 20-25 knots. You know, it's just not going to be a lot of fun, and the waves are going to be kicked up, and a lot of times the water is going to get pretty murky from all the wave action, so the snorkeling won't be as good. So it would be nice, and it looks like over this weekend into next week, I mean, that's still a ways out in the dribs, but it looks like it's the weather's going to be a little more gentle, a little more settled. So that's the plan. And I'm going to go for a run up and down the beach just to get a little exercise here. It was cold yesterday. It was only in the mid-50s, which for the Florida Keys is freezing. A little nicer today. It's about it's mid-60s now, so it's quite comfortable. And that sun is getting stronger every day. We're headed towards spring. So all's well, and that's the plan. And this is certainly a beautiful spot. You just can't beat the scenery here. So it's the 1st of February 2022. There's a seaplane, presumably on the way to Dry Tortugas. And we're still here in Boca Grande Key. Not sure what Punxsutawney Phil has said, but the weather maps show we got 2 days of these strong winds. Basically 20 to 25 knots. And so what I'm going to do, as you notice, I got the cover off the staysail. Once this current changes, which should be in about half an hour, I'm going to try to sail just past the green there, and hopefully get kind of in the lee of Boca Grande. It's a low island, maybe give me a little more wind shelter, because it's kind of uncomfortable here. Especially, as you can see, actually this current's slowing down. This current really rips right through here. It was up to about 2.5 knots. But the other thing is you get this steep chop from the wind going against the current. And so hopefully it won't be quite so bad. Looks a little calmer around the corner. So accomplished. It's a little better here. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely better here. I mean, we still got plenty of wind, but it's a little more gusty. It's not that constant, just that constant 20 knots hitting you. And there's not quite as much current here either. And the other advantage is with these easterly winds, if I do drag in the middle of the night, I'm just going to drag out into deep water, or deeper water. Because the one catch, though, the holding is very good if you anchor in the flats, and weathering, it's as I say, it's not a bad place to weather a blow. But you do have shoals right under your lee. And so if your anchor gives out in the middle of the night, you don't have much time. Yeah, good morning. It is Friday, the 4th of February, and we departed Boca Grande Key, headed back to Key West to restock on our water and provisions before making a second attempt at the Dry Tortugas. We got kind of southeast, east to southeast winds, which is on our nose, and we're also fighting current. So despite leaving before first light, we departed about 6 o'clock this morning. So in 3 hours, we're still well inside of Boca Grande Key. So this is sailing. I haven't even had breakfast yet because I'm trying to sail her as best I can. Because as I said, we're getting dragged. We're basically getting dragged backwards on a reciprocal course by about a knot or so of current. So it's important just to sail her as best you can. See, again, this is more like sailing. Now we got a little rain squall going over us here. And so you just feel better about the whole thing. You know, when you just get all this beautiful weather, you're just expecting, you know, that piano to fall out of the sky and land on you. So, but now that things are, now that the weather's out crappy again, you just feel like everything's right with the world. Oh, it looks like we got some heavier rain here. Yeah, the boat could use a wash off.